Welcome to Castle Kon, where we review everything geek. Today we're going to be reviewing Middle-earth's coolest looking meat cleaver. This is the Sword of Fili the Dwarf, not to be confused with the Sword of Fili the Dwarf, which would be Fili's younger brother. That sword review is linked right here. You can go and take a look at that as well. As you may know, in The Hobbit: An Unexpected Journey, Fili dual-wielded two of these, bringing double the pain to both goblins and wargs alike. This awesome sword is manufactured by United Cutlery. They actually get prop replicas from the movies and make casts of them, so you know that you're getting a highly accurate prop replica. The sword comes with its very own mounting plaque for mounting on the wall. Again, has a very nice geometric design, like the rest of the sword, very dwarven, as well as an official certificate of authenticity. Gives you a little bit of lore behind the sword, as well as the design of the sword. On the other side, you get a nice little map from The Hobbit. Fili's sword is 25.5 inches overall. The blade length measures at just over 17 inches, and the blade thickness is 3/8 of an inch. This sword retails for $274 US. On CastleKon.com, you can get your very own Sword of Fili for $135 US. Remember, all non-US buyers, we do ship internationally, so be sure to check us out. Now it's time for an up-close review of Fili's sword. On the hilt, we have the handle, which is made out of a high-quality resin. It is painted brown with a darker brown, slightly black brushstrokes to give it an aged or worn design. The jagged pointed motif is seen all throughout the handle, and we can first see it in the middle grip ring, where we have the zigzag all the way down, as well as in the pommel cap, where we have the jagged edges here, as well as the engraving there. The pommel is actually in the shape of a decagon, with two hexagons raised in the middle, with the jagged zigzag motif on the outside. The pommel is probably my favorite part of this entire sword, because it does give the overall impression of the dwarven shields that we see throughout the movies. From the opposite angle, we can see this pentagon arrangement that circles the handle. This was a nice design feature that I did not initially see when I first bought the sword online. It is very reminiscent of one of those ornate ancient pillars, and I really appreciate that design feature. Down on the very limited crossguard, that jagged motif continues in this double groove all the way down and around the blade. The geometric patterns continue with this double triangle there, as well as nice little studs that have been molded into the resin. Finally, each of the four sides of the crossguard has this point finishing it off, giving it a very nice, aggressive design. Much like Kili's sword, Fili's sword has the nice acid etching down the blade, which gives it that nice worn look. Also, one of the best design features I personally think of this sword is the double fuller that runs all the way down the blade and has this little notch right there that mimics the notch found in the blade itself on the edge. I don't know what it is. I just find this part of the sword very attractive. It's probably one of my favorite parts of the sword besides the pommel. At the tip of the blade, we see one final reference to that zigzag or jagged motif, and that double fuller I love so much. The two grooves go all the way down and taper off into the very tip of the blade. This is another very attractive portion of the sword, in my opinion. Now that we've looked at all of the really nice design features of this sword, I'd like to point out just a couple cons people may find with Fili's sword. First, while the hilt is very beautifully detailed, it is made of resin, which some may not prefer to the feel of solid wood. Second, like Kili's sword, the blade is thick and tip-heavy, making it not a very practical or comfortable prop to hold or wield. It does, however, make an excellent prop and display piece, as we can see. Lastly, Fili's sword did not have any of those quality control issues with the blade that Kili's sword had, So all the blades I have seen have been very straight and poured correctly. You know, my overall impression of this blade is actually higher than the Sword of Fili. I rate this probably about a 9 out of 10. I personally like Fili's character better, but I don't know what it is. I think it's just the jagged motif that goes all the way through the sword. I just really love this sword. It kind of won its way through my heart. Thanks for watching another Castle Kon review. If you like what you saw, be sure to like, share, and subscribe to this channel. And remember, if you decide to use your Fili sword as a meat cleaver, goblins aren't very tasty. Baruch Kazan!